The minimum salary or wage to any working person is no longer less than EC $1,200 per month or no less than 60 EC per day, according to SRO number 42, 2023, which was gazetted on the 15th December. The new order, which came into effect on January 1st, covers an expanded category of workers, including media workers, call center workers, helpers on construction sites, and sanitation workers. Managing Director of Seasons Paint Grenada Limited and former business representative in the Senate, Christopher Diali, said we must first see its impact before suggesting amendments.
I'm not sure if it's a review. I mean, with every new piece of legislation, there are things that you may have missed and you could amend or you could seek clarification, and the appropriate ministry will give the clarification. So I'm not, because they did indicate a lot of consultations took place, but when you really do write these things and you come to the detail and the implementation, then you may see areas where you may need to adjust or may come back and amend and so on based on the degree of this circumstance in the new law. So it is those kind of things, but I'm not sure if we need to do a full review. It's just to hear the feedback and see what needs to be made in terms of adjustments.
The minimum wage does not address productivity, but rather a balanced wage that employers should be guided by. However, the challenge comes with the amount of productive hours for a day's pay.
Because you may have workers that come, for example, in government, all the people that work on the debushers, they will work for a minimum of, 4 hours a day and get a full day's pay at a minimum of, or even better. So if that is the accepted norm, it is not the most productive way, because you would pay for a day, and a day is normally in Grenada 8 hours, right, or 40 hours a week. So there are circumstances that vary that will relate to productivity that may not necessarily the minimum wage may not necessarily deal with it. So you as the employer had to work out what you think is reasonable for you for a day's pay. In agriculture, some people work from 6 in the morning until 10. And then after that, they say the sun too hot, they can't make it. So if you want to pay for 4 hours at a full day, that is your choice. But you can't go below the minimum wage because it would be an illegal situation. So it really depends. The productivity issue is slightly more complicated as it relates to how minimum wage work.
The subject of job cuts came into focus. It appears that some level of compromise must be reached.
Consequences when we had initial discussions on the increase, that some employers would not be able to afford some people. So take, for example, daycare of the elderly and geriatric care. The increase that have been leveled there, some people may need 3 people to take after the elderly, morning and night and later on, based on the shift. And some people may say, well, they can't afford it at that rate, so they may have to reduce it to 1 or so. Or some may say they can't reduce it, they can't afford at all. And then there is domestic workers as well, and what happens there. And the issue becomes, if a domestic worker says to you that, this is the new rate, and you say, well, I can't afford it, you have to send you home. And the person may say, no, I'm willing to work for something less. Or, even though I'm working for what now, could you give me a little increase, which is even still less than the minimum wage? And the issue becomes, are you going to entertain that because it's illegal in the system? And the employer then could be taken to task. So there are all these issues when people come with that. And if you have somebody working with you for years and you can't afford now, you want to send them home, it's not an easy thing for them and of course, the employer. So it has some difficulty there, and there would be room for some level of negotiation, I believe, that needs to take place.
Christina John, GBN News.